There are two types of opponents when I play open tournaments in Kazakhstan. The first type is the talented, underrated junior. Usually these guys are around 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. They are rated below 2000, but regularly they defeat titled players, very dangerous people. This is opponent number 2 from this video. Opponent number 1 from this video is another type, also quite common in Kazakhstan, a very dangerous Soviet candidate master. A veteran, usually 50 plus, sometimes 60 plus, but not just some veteran who does not play and has forgotten everything and does not know modern theory. No, these guys play the talented juniors every tournament, and they are able to absorb both the knowledge of the new times and the Soviet school of chess. So this makes them very menacing opponents. This is opponent number 1 from today's video. So let me show you 2 games that I played today that made me tilt. If you don't know what tilt is when you lose or don't win a chess game that was going your way, and you go on tilt. That's exactly what happened today. The games both are interesting, and there is much to be learned from them. Let's dive into this. Round 1. I'm playing with the white pieces against the Soviet candidate master Kirill Karpunin. He's rated around 1900, which means that he's very, very much battle tested against the local juniors. He regularly plays like almost all events. He's like 50 plus, but in great shape. So he plays the French this time. He's always mixing up his openings. Also, this is like in Europe, many veterans, they play the same opening over and over again. And when you play a tournament in Europe, very often, if you play against a veteran, you know what he will play and you can prepare. But local guys, they play everything. Last time he played the Scandinavian when we played. Previously, he played c5, the Sicilian defense, and this time he played the French for the first time. That's how unpredictable opponents here are. So I go d4. This is the advanced variation. I've built a beautiful pawn chain. My opponent goes for the plan with trading the bad French bishop, because for black, usually the main problem in the French defense is that this bishop is restricted by its own pawns. So usually it's a good idea to trade it. And then long term, black has no problems. But the drawback of this plan is that it takes a lot of time to do this. And white still has some advantage in this line. Bishop d3, bishop b5. And I know this line, actually. I've played it in blitz with white. So takes and b4 is a nice move. And my opponent somehow mixed up his prep, probably because he looks surprised at this point. Maybe playing several openings has a drawback also, that you don't know all of them too deeply. So here you cannot take this with check, even though it looks juicy, because king e2, and this bishop has no squares, and next rook f1, and this bishop just will not escape and will die a glorious death, queen d3, and then the bishop will just be won. So my opponent realized that and retreated the bishop to f8. Not to e7, because the e7 square very, very often is needed for the bishop, for the knight. So b4, now I go bishop e3 first, attacking the queen, winning a tempo. And already here I have great advantage out of the opening if I go bishop c2, but I forgot my lines. So the idea is that I want to go a4, and if bishop here, knight a3, and I will take his bishop, but I will not trade my bishop for his bishop. I will trade my knight for his bishop, and I will enjoy the two bishops advantage. Very, very good plus according to the engine. But I forgot this. I actually had this position in blitz, I think a couple of times, but I forgot what I had to do. And I just traded. I decided, okay, I'll win some time harassing his queen. And now I'll castle. I'll push f4, f5. Still, all his pieces are on the back rank. I have a lead in development, because he spent so much time trading his bad bishop. And now I'll push for a win. Let's see how it played out. So knight c6, f4, knight here, takes, knight f5. This is a very good square for this knight, usually, because g4 sometimes g4 works, but here it doesn't because he'll just take and take on b4. So I have to go knight f3 first. If he takes now, I'm happy because my knight is not worse than his bishop, in my opinion, and I'm still threatening f5. But instead, here he went h5, cementing his knight on f5. Now g4 is never possible. I had a plan here. I wanted to go bishop f2 and then knight d4, trading this knight, and still go for f5. That was my plan. But the problem is that he has rook c8, and my pawn is hanging. And from afar, I thought, okay, I'll just go rook c1 and then continue with my plan. But it's too slow, and I didn't like something about this position. Long term, black is doing fine. Black can go here. Then black will castle, double the rooks, put pressure on my c3 pawn. I've played lots of French games with black in my life, so I know how dangerous it can get for white strategically, such positions. So that's why I decided, you know what, I'll be funky, I'll give up this c3 pawn. He's still not developed, his pieces are on the back rank. Let's create some chaos on the board. The engine says it's not the worst decision, but not the best one. So I go knight d4. He looks surprised, he takes the pawn. I take his knight. The point is not just that I'm threatening, then damaging his pawn structure. The point is that he's still not developed enough, and I want to utilize this fact by harassing him somehow. Here the engine really likes queen d4, by the way, and then going here and harassing him from the back rank. Somehow I didn't implement that particular idea. Instead, I took his pawn and went rook b1, wanting to infiltrate like this. Rook c4 is the move that he found. He played a really good game up until that moment. I here go rook f3. I want to double the rooks. And he goes rook h6 here. He wants to add the rook to the game, into the game. The better idea was to castle. Maybe he didn't like something like this and attack, but rook a8, and he's faster than me. Even though probably that's something that I would have done, trying to attack him. The evil bar is glitching, don't pay attention to it. Something is happening with the evil bar. Sorry about that. So instead of castling, my opponent here went rook h6. Let me just turn off the evil bar because something is wrong with it. Let's continue without the evil bar. Let me just say that black is a little bit better in this position, but after rook h6, it's back to equal. So I've sacrificed a pawn, but the king is in the center. Black's pieces are clumsy. I am putting pressure. I go rook b3, doubling the rooks, putting pressure on this b4 bishop. Queen a4 defends the bishop, also pins the rook. Now I go bishop e3 because also my bishop was hanging, obviously. And queen a5. Queen a5 is not the best move. Here, somehow, my opponent, of course, wanted to not give me this d5 pawn, which is logical, but this is wasting some time. So I go king h1, first of all, top engine move. The idea is that probably in future he wants to go here and trade with check, so I'm sidestepping king h1. And now if he goes here, I can also trade, but then I'll take on b7, infiltrating, and it will not be pleasant for him. He doubles the rooks, and now I go a3. I really want to infiltrate with my rooks. I'm not counting the pawns. He can take another one if he wants. He takes it. And actually here is the first moment where I squandered a very big opportunity. Here I was practically winning after rook a1, pinning him. And somehow I didn't even consider this move because rook a4, it's all good, what's wrong? But rook takes b7. And I have lots of ideas like queen h5, for example, threatening this and threatening this. If he goes g6, bishop b6 is very beautiful, but I didn't see it. So the idea is that his queen has to stay guarding this rook. This rook otherwise will get taken. So he cannot just take twice because then I'll take his rook. And if he doesn't take this bishop, if he goes back, for example, here, then queen takes d5. And everything is hanging. And if he takes here, for example, then queen d8. So this would have been beautiful, but I did not spot this. Bishop b6 is not obvious, especially from afar. And I have to say that I had a problem in this game. I didn't have enough time because I started with 10 minutes less than my opponent because I was late, because I was recording a podcast episode with Maxim Vashelograph. By the way, it's a very nice conversation we had. Drop a comment if you intend to watch it. Lots of great topics that we discussed. But the downside was that I was late, and it's a fast classical time control, 45 minutes per game. We don't have too much time, even if I'm on time. 45 minutes is not a lot. And then I'm like late to the game, and I have 35 minutes, and I have to find some moves in this complicated position, in this mess, and of course I miss rook a1. But even if I had more time, I don't think I would have spotted this beautiful bishop b6 idea. This is like first rook b7 and then bishop b6. It's very advanced. So instead I immediately take on b7, infiltrating. This is still good, by the way. I'm still enjoying some advantage. I'm still down a pawn, but I'm attacking. The king is in the center. My idea is queen h5, threatening queen f7 and queen h8 mate, for example. But the problem is that I have also the back rank issues. So here my opponent goes d4, and I decide first to kick his queen, and then to try to take. But the problem is here I actually could have taken. I calculated it, but I thought that I'm getting checkmated, because if this, check, bishop g1, check, here, checkmate. This is what I calculated. And this is why I did not take this pawn. But the problem is I can actually take this pawn, and it's winning for white, because I have, instead of takes, and bishop g1, I have bishop g1 immediately, and I'm mating my opponent. Somehow I completely forgot that I can, like, it's not checkers, you're not obliged to take. Horrible. I should have seen this. Of course, with my calculation skills, it's not too complicated to see queen h5, rook c1, bishop g1. But somehow we both, me and my opponent, missed it. And I went bishop d2. And at this point, I was already playing on increment. I was playing like 30 seconds gets added to your clock after each move, and that was what I was using for my moves from now on. So he goes queen a6 here, and now this is unpleasant. So now I already cannot take, really cannot take, because this will happen. And if this, then this. And yeah, this will be a checkmate. Or if this, same thing. Queen f1, checkmate. Which is why I do not take this pawn, but I really want to do it. First, I create luft for my king. Now I have this breathing space, and I'm threatening to take this pawn. But he goes g6. I can no longer take this pawn. And now is another moment because of which I am tilted, because I should have gone queen f3, and like you will see by the arrows how I infiltrate, and black can do nothing. It's winning, completely winning. According to the engine, it's +4. Instead of this, I went queen b3. I didn't have too much time. I wanted to create the so-called Alekhines gun, triple on the b file. But the problem is that he has bishop e7, blocking this, and I have nothing. The engine says it's back to equal now. I'm down a pawn, I'm attacking, but he has defensive resources, which make this position a draw, according to the computer. Obviously, we are not computers, and we don't know the evaluation of the position. I just know that it's a crazy position. I'm down a pawn, and I have 30 seconds on my clock to make each move. He has like 10 minutes at this point. I go rook b8, checking him. He blocks, and I did not find the best course of action. I had to make moves to not lose on time, so I just kept trying to harass him, but he goes queen a4, threatening the trade of the queens, and if I trade the queens, I have a losing endgame, because he has an extra pawn, and it's a very dangerous passed pawn, and my king is weak, so and it's too far, so I don't trade, of course. I go queen f3, trying to desperately create some chances to infiltrate. He goes queen a8, now I find rook b7, blocking his queen instead of trading. It's back to equal. It's equal, but you have to play good moves to keep equality for both sides. He goes queen a4 here. Now I should have gone e6, just blowing open the position. I even considered this actually. I considered this, but I thought queen f7 and there's nothing. But the engine says rook takes e7 and queen g6 is a draw. Then I will give him a perpetual check. Okay, with 30 seconds on the clock, it's not easy to go for this, obviously. I was considering this, but I decided to go queen d5. With like 5 seconds on the clock, I made the move queen d5, and immediately I realized queen c6. And I have to trade the queens. I went here and then rook a4, and I have to trade the queens, and it's a losing endgame. I go here, he takes, I take, and he goes rook a2. And I realize, okay, of course I can go for this, but this is such a horrible endgame. He'll just walk his king to the center and win. He has a better pieces and he has an extra pawn, passed pawn. And I realized that this is not good, of course, rook b2. Instead, I went rook b8, trying to harass him with some checks. I also didn't like the fact that if I, for example, go for this, takes, there is a problem that he can give me a check like this. And then go h4. And next, he is threatening this checkmate. And I will have to trade the rooks to stop it, and then it will be again a losing endgame. So because of this, I did not go for bishop b4. I went rook b8. We traded, and I realized that, oh, it's even worse now, because if I drop back with the bishop, he'll win my bishop. My bishop has no squares. If I go here with the bishop, well, there are lots of ways for him to win. King c7, harassing my rook is one of the nice ways to win, but it's not the only one. You can even trade and go here and just promote the pawn. So in this position, I give him a check. So these are like spied checks. I give him another check. I go rook here, hoping that maybe we'll trade the bishops. I'll take his pawn and try to create my own passed pawns, even though it's, of course, losing. But he goes bishop c5, and here I flag actually, but I was intending to resign because I'm just losing a piece, and the game, very tilting experience. So after this, I have half a point out of 2 rounds, and let's see round 3, where I'm playing against a talented junior, and I'm playing with the black pieces. The junior's name is Aldiyar Aybek. He's rated 1800 something, which means that he is definitely underrated, and yeah, this game he played at 95% accuracy according to the engine, and I was tilted. But even without the tilt, it would have been difficult because I chose a very risky line, and I did not play the best moves, and I was punished. This is the spoiler. So let me show you what happened. This is the modern defense, which people play with black to play for a win with black. I probably should have opted for something more reliable, considering the fact that I was on tilt. But I was on tilt, and this game started right after my previous game. Before it, there was no break because we were playing the last game of the round against my previous opponent. So I had time just to go to the bathroom and then come back and play this one. And boy, it was not a good game from my side. So this is theory. This actually I play with both colors. The idea for white is to castle long and launch a king side attack, and for black is to launch the queen side attack and to castle short usually, or stay in the center, and whoever mates opponent first wins. That's how these games are decided. So my opponent goes h4, I go knight f6. So the idea is that b4 is now threatened because this knight is protecting the e4 pawn, so white usually goes f3, protecting the pawn. Now I go h5. Actually, there are 2 moves here in the position, h6 and h5. I sometimes play around with them. This time I decided to go h5. The idea is that I'm temporarily preventing g4 from coming, even though still sometimes white does play g4 in those lines once black castles to launch an attack, but that will cost white some material. So long castles before, knight here, and here actually in my files I think I had a5, but I decided to give this pawn on b4. If white takes it, it's quite risky actually. So I decided, okay, I'll sacrifice the pawn. Let's see what happens. I was on tilt, but maybe even without the tilt I would have gone for this because I like such types of positions. Even though the engine says it's much better for white, it's practically it's very much playable. Knight h3. This is very standard for those positions. White likes to put the knights on f4 and g5, and then maybe go bishop d3, e5. These are the plans. Knight b6. Knight b6 is not very good. I should have gone rook b8 according to the engine. Knight b6 is like it's not doing too much here. The idea obviously is to fork white like this, but knight f4, and now the bishop is controlling c4, and it's not clear what the knight is doing on b6. Not the optimal move from my side. Here I spent some time thinking, and I didn't like my position. I realized that this knight is coming here, e5 is happening, I don't like it, and I decided at least I'll trade the bishop for one of the knights. Actually, the engine says this is the best move, but this is not a happy choice. And now my opponent has the two bishops advantage, but at least there is one attacker I get rid of one of the attackers, so that's the good news. He takes, and I go knight d7. I am preventing c5, I'm preventing to open up this position, maybe go knight a4 next and try to create some attack on my opponent's king, because otherwise my opponent will be there to attack me with g4, knight g5, f4, f5, or e5, and I will be destroyed. So this is the modern defense where you have to attack, hunt or be hunted. So knight g5, now I go c5, trying to open this diagonal, and now e5, very good move from my opponent. And this is the last mistake that I made in the game, really. Now you will see. After this, I didn't have a single chance. I should have gone e6, preventing e6 from white. But here I calculated that I can take, and I thought that he'll most likely take here, because I thought there is a move e6, but then I can take here, and his queen will be hanging. But the problem is that he plays e6, so I take, and he immediately plays e6, and I realize that I'm stupid because I can take, but he'll take with check, and he'll go knight e6. Let me show you this on the board. And the problem is that we are both threatening to take opponent's queen, but he is threatening to do it with check, and he's there first. I somehow forgot that this is a check, and I cannot take back his queen because my king is in check. I have to take the knight, and this is the position that we get. I'm down a queen for two pieces. This is completely hopeless. So I did not go for this. I realized, of course, after e6 that I cannot take, and I was like, why did I miss this? Why did I allow this? So this is already hopeless. I decided to castle. If he takes here, I decided, okay, I can sack some material. Oh, here actually it's not good because I'll take the bishop, but first he would take here, and I can sack this rook for the knight or for the bishop. At least I can pretend that I have some chances in this position, even though it's dead lost. But he did not even do that. He did not even munch on this material. Instead, he took on d4, which is the best move according to the engine. He's not in a rush to take anything, because he wants to first destroy my defense of my king and then attack me with g4. He doesn't even need the material. So we trade here. I go f6. At least we are trading my knight for his knight. So he takes my knight. Oops, something glitched at this point on chess.com. Give me a second. So yeah, he took. I took, he took. And I realized that my position is in ruins. It's +5 according to the engine, even though he's just up one pawn, and now he's not even up a pawn. The material is equal, but he's just the first to get to my king. This is devastating. And also the bishop will join in with a check, and I have no defense. I go knight e5, trying to at least block this diagonal, but he just takes. If I take back, he'll add a rook into the attack, and then he'll check me like this, double up, and checkmate me. Instead, I go queen c7. He takes the pawn, and from afar, I thought I'll go here and try to at least threaten something, but then I realized that it's a forced mate. After rook c8, he has this check, then this check, then this check, and if I go here, he will checkmate me like this. I calculated this, and if I go here, then rook h6, and I'm losing a queen, and the c2 pawn is protected, so I'm just losing a rook. Sorry, really tired after this day. So this is what I calculated. This is not hard. My opponent obviously also calculated this. So rook c8 is not the move I made because of this. Queen d5 just wins. I decided to go e6, at least trying to block the diagonal, but anything wins here. My opponent chooses the most efficient way to finish things up. Rook h7, and now queen h4, and the queen will just infiltrate, and it will be a forced mate like this or like this. I take this pawn, and after queen h6, I resign because I cannot stop mate. Only if I give up the queen, but it will not help for long. Still, it's checkmate in 7 according to the engine. So everything destroys my king. Horrible game. I lost in just 25 moves. This is not something that happens often to me. Probably this is the combination of the strength of my opponent and also my tilt. Hopefully I can come back tomorrow. If you enjoyed this recap, please drop a comment and see you in the next one. Bye bye.